10 types of people we are leaving in 2025. What is up, winning team? Guys, I've been wanting to do something like 2025 reflection vibes, and I thought this would be the best because, to be honest with you, this time next year I wouldn't have been able to write a list like this because I've learned all of these lessons last year the hard way. And so in order to protect ourselves, in order to protect our peace, and in order to create ourselves winning environments, I've put together 10 types of people we are leaving in 2025. Buckle up and stay tuned. I hope you guys enjoy this. Let's get straight into it. I'm going to try and keep it short and not give long explanations, but I'll probably just reference back to this when I want to get more and delve in. Because, you know me, I could do a video on every single one of them alone. Number one, people who avoid confrontation at all costs. So you're going to hear me say, take what I say as I say it, okay? Because I'm saying people who avoid confrontation at all costs. I'm not saying who avoid confrontation, because it is good to not want to just always be on confrontation all the time. But it is very problematic when you have people that avoid confrontation at all costs, because it usually means they're not saying what they really mean, which is very unhealthy for you to be around. All of this stuff I've learned. A lot of this is the wisdom God has taught me about the why I've had these issues with different types of people throughout the years, because I haven't understood certain things. A lot of people I've been around have been afraid of confrontation at all costs, so then nothing gets discussed. I think it's important to grow up and know how to be able to confront people, because to make sure that the person being confronted has the opportunity to explain themselves, right? That's what they deserve. But also you as a person, you deserve the right for there's something you feel like is important to you, you deserve the right to be able to confront somebody about it, because you matter. Everybody matters. Everything you're going to see from this is all to do with what I believe is things that create happy, healthy, actually loving relationships, right? A lot of people who avoid confrontation at all costs will just suffer in silence, which brings me on to one of the other ones we're going to come to in a minute. Actually, I'll just say it now. People that are passive aggressive. A lot of people who avoid confrontation, so that's number two, people who are passive aggressive. If you're not able to communication is it's so important when it comes to relationships. If you can't comfortably communicate with somebody, there might be an issue there in the relationship on either side or both sides, and maybe even a lack of compatibility altogether. Any healthy relationship, anybody that loves and respects you should be okay with confronting you. But then also, passive aggressive behavior, in my opinion, is very immature, because you clearly have something to say, but it's like you just don't have the real bollocks to say it. We ain't got time for those folks going forward, winning team. As winners, this is all for winners. Listen, if you want to be a loser, go ahead and do what you're doing. But for winners, we ain't got time for this, because we got to get straight to the point. We got to get to the point, and we got to get to the problem, because we're problem solvers and we got places to go, places to be, things to become, things to achieve. We ain't got time for passive aggressiveness. And also, like I said, it's cowardly, which again, cowardice is part of the losing team. The Bible tells us to be strong and courageous. In Joshua 1, he even talks about cowardly people as being the ones that are going to go to the lake of fire, the second death, right? In the book of Revelation. Yeah, we don't have time for that. Again, it's destructive, because then it's confusing to the person you're speaking about. It's also a manipulative tactic, because if somebody's being passive aggressive, because they're not being completely confrontational, that means if you then try to say, is there something you're trying to say, or try and pick up on what they're doing, if they want to make you the problem, they can say, oh, you're making a big deal out of nothing. Or, that's just their way of forcing you to do all the work when we're leaving them behind. People who never apologize for anything. Again, focus on what I'm saying. People who never apologize for anything. It's not that people who sometimes don't apologize, because sometimes you don't need to apologize. Sometimes over apologizing is also a problem. That's something that happens here. Being passive aggressive and over apologizing are two things. A lot of these things are actually quite massive in British folks. I hate to say it, but it's true. People who never apologize for anything. In all relationships, none of us are perfect. All of us, like I said, are going to need to communicate. At some point, you're going to say something or do something that hurts somebody, regardless of your intentions. That's not the point. If you care about somebody, you should care to give them the acknowledgement that they deserve and the apology, because you're also helping them on their own journey in life. If they've been offended, they've been hurt, they are on their journey. I think me apologizing to somebody is just as important for both of us. It's important for me to humble myself and acknowledge and not become locked in pride, where I can't apologize, because if I care about somebody and I've hurt them, I should want to, make things better, and I should want to acknowledge that I've done that. And for the person being hurt, being acknowledged for the hurt that has been caused towards them can help a lot. And also it shows that you care, and it shows that you're willing to work and understand, and also it creates a healthy environment. A lot of relationships, I personally believe, are unhealthy because people can't do these basic things. So then relationships just exist on different extremes, where either everything is just acceptable or everything's confrontational or no one's ever confronting anyone. And so that's why I'm like, these things, a lot of them might make you feel uncomfortable, but if you're so uncomfortable and over time you really can't do this, maybe you shouldn't be there. Maybe they should have been left in 2025. People who gossip talk about other people behind their backs. I'm very strict on this one. I don't do gossip. I don't do talking behind somebody's back. The only time you should talk about somebody behind their back is just, if it's something super basic, like you're planning their birthday party, maybe you don't know what to wear or whatever, or telling somebody a funny story or something that happened with you and someone, then you wish that they'd been there, that kind of stuff. I don't tolerate gossip and talking behind anybody's back at all, not a single bit. And I will just tell you now, if somebody's willing to talk about somebody else behind their back with you, that means that they're probably talking about behind your back about you as well. Okay, so that's also a protective mechanism, as in you don't want that energy around you. The only times I think you can really be divulging is if you're married to somebody. Then I assume all married couples share everything with their spouse anyway, which honestly, that's not that big of a deal as long as they're actually with the spouse that they're actually married to, and not just like we've got rings and we sign a piece of paper, but we're just glorified friends with benefits that are roommates. And maybe like your super closest, like, if I don't know, I think actually that's the only time I don't mind it. I think that's the only time I would accept somebody telling something else behind my back. And also for the believers out there, a lot of people don't have spiritual gifts that they want from God, things like prophecy, dreams and visions and all this that you want God to give you, because he can't trust you because you're going to go and gossip. He's going to tell you God gives us gifts to use for compassion, for love, for his kingdom. So God has shown me embarrassing things about people. He's shown me people's demons. If I was a gossiper, I'll be going and be like, oh my gosh, can you even believe it that the Lord told me this, or the Lord showed me this? Yeah, why would he do that? That's not going to create love and healthy relationships. It's going to cause division. So that's an important one. So I don't tolerate that one at all. You guys know I've mentioned that. People who think they are better than anyone. If people don't understand, the Bible says we've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Sorry, we're on number 5. If people think that they're better than anyone, run for your life and run for the hills. Nobody is better than anybody. We've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Just because one person does one thing and you don't do that doesn't make you any better than the other person. And I think if you think like that in the first place, if you're even inclined to want to believe, like for me, the simple fact of wanting to believe that you're better is also a character flaw, because it's like we're on the edge of pride, we're on the edge of a God complex, and those people tend to be judgmental and be also judging you. So you might be thinking, hey, well, they might say that about so and so, but they're my friend, but they're just judging you just the same, and they're actually enjoying. Some people will actually enjoy being your friend, your family member, because you feed into their ego, because they get to look down upon you, and therefore looking down upon you makes them feeds their the negativity. Because remember, a lot of this stuff, it's not necessarily that you're feeling the heavy effects, but it's like you're creating the environment. Because this is like, what environment do you want to be around? Do you want to be around winners and winning mindset people? So yeah, people who think they're better than anyone, run for the hills. They're going to be susceptible to pride. They're going to be susceptible to the spirit of religion. They're going to be susceptible to, also, you're going to be susceptible to being a part of the day that they actually fall, because then when that does happen, they're going to be unlikely to, again, be the type of people who know how to apologize. They're going to be unlikely to be the type of people who carry humility. If you guys get into any kind of disagreements, they're going to be the kind of people who, as soon as you apologize, because one thing I realized about people who don't apologize and why you can't have people in your life who never apologize is, if they never apologize, but you're somebody who does apologize, a lot of the times the problem comes because it's not being reciprocated. What ends up happening is, oh, you apologize. Then they're like, oh, so you are the problem. So it is you. So it is all you. If you're with somebody and you're talking to somebody, like a friend or whatever, and that's their attitude, your apologies, you can do all the goody good you want. If it's not being reciprocated, it doesn't work. Okay. A lot of that is what this is about. Okay. Number 6, people that care more about being right than what's right. Whenever I realized in conversations, when I'm talking with folks, I'm never thinking about if I'm right or wrong. Right or wrong is not in my mind. I'm trying to find what's the problem. It's like us versus the problem. It's not me versus you. It's us versus the problem. Whether it's that you have a problem with me, I did something that where you have a problem with me, or you did something where I have a problem with you. I think a healthy and mature relationships, of any type of relationship, it's us versus the problem. Unless whatever was done was big enough that we're now fully separating this relationship, as in you're going your way and I'm going my way, and this relationship has come to an entire end. Unless that's what we're saying, then what I'm saying is it should be us versus the problem. We team up against the problem, like what Adam and Eve should have done, right? So people that care more about being right than what's right, there's a lot of people I was seeing arguments, right? Because sometimes when I realize I'm talking to an idiot, I will just tell them they're right in the end, because I can't be bothered. I'll be like, yeah, you're right. No, you're right. Yeah, you're right. I'll just tell them they're right. Because listen, I don't need you to acknowledge me. I already know what I need to do. I need to separate myself away from you. So yeah, you're right. And it's so funny because people will look like like as if like, yay, that's all I needed to know, is that I was right. They don't care about actually solving the problem. They don't care about building. Listen, I'm no offense to the world, but I honestly think this is why all this stuff I'm saying, I think the standard of love in the world is in the bin, because this stuff I'm talking about is quite rare. People tend to be very self-centered, self-focused, and just like, I want to make sure I'm right. It's not about being right. It's about what's right. So even sometimes you might both go into an argument really mad, and you might have a genuine problem against somebody, but then in you guys actually trying to look at the problem separately together and not be like, well, you're wrong and I'm right, or whatever, you might then that's the only way you're going to be able to be like, you know what? I came into this angry about whatever, but what they've said, because I've actually stopped to listen to them and I haven't stopped to try and prove I was right or prove them wrong. Now I'm able to see that, like, oh, actually, what they're saying is more important, and maybe I don't even need to talk about right now the thing that I've got going on, because sometimes what your issues just might turn out to be irrelevant in that moment, because the other thing might be even bigger. Because we're all people. This is what I'm trying to say, guys. We have to understand we're all unique. The reason why we have to have all these diagnoses of all these different ADHDs, autisms, this and that, and all these titles, all these drugs, is because we don't know how to just love people for who they are and get to know people for who they are anymore. We are so fixated on what we want out of things, how we think things should be, and what the assumptions we want to make. We're not good at listening. This is what I've learned from forming a relationship with God, is I spend a lot of time trying to understand who he is more than anything else. Actually, to be honest, I spend so much time I'm trying to wrap my brain around who are you, God, like, and how do you speak? And every week, every day, every month, every year, there's always something new. I'm like, wow, God, I really misunderstood this about you, or all those things. That's a part of relationships. You get to know people, because sometimes you might do something in one way and you don't get it. Like, I had this situation with somebody. I'll give you an example. And me and this person had clashed many a time, because they would ask me a yes or no question. And I'd be like, the answer isn't yes or no, because the answer really wasn't yes or no. And I was actually right on the matter. But I realized that because we kept going back and forth about this situation, I came up with a solution. I said, you know what? How about this? Since we always argue about this, I will always answer your question, and whichever side it sides with more, yes or no. But if I'm going to compromise with doing that, you also have to compromise with, if you therefore don't get the answer you were looking for, or don't feel informed, or don't feel like I told you what you needed to know, then you are going to take that onto your shoulders. Because the reason why I'm telling you it's not yes or no is because I'm concerned that you're not getting the information that you actually want, right? And you're saying, I just want a yes or no, because you just want a yes or no, because you think it's a yes or no, but you don't understand what you don't know either. So that was the agreement that was made, and it worked. There was a time that happened where they asked me a question and they were like, yes or no, such and such. And I said yes, or I said no. And then they went on and they went on, and then the argument went on and on and on and on and on. And then they were angry with me after the fact. And I was like, what are you angry about? That's what I'm saying. I've done so much work talking with people, and I remain so calm for the most part, while people are like screaming, shouting, acting however. And I've done that myself in the past. I thought I was then, and I found that to be ugly within me. So that's why I worked on myself. And and then we'll go back and forth, and then they'll be like, oh, well, you didn't tell me, I didn't know that, I didn't know such and such. I'm like, well, you told me that you wanted a yes or no, so I gave you your yes or no. Do you now understand? And I was like, so this is up to you. This is the agreement we made. This is the compromise. And then you learn, because then said person after that, they also then learned, is there anything else you think I might want to know before I continue? Because they realized that there is a good reason. I understood that for them, sometimes they just wanted a yes or no, and sometimes it was right to give them just a yes or no answer. And they learned that sometimes if I'm saying I don't think this is a yes or no question, just because that's what they want and they think is what's best, doesn't mean that it is. You see, some of us have been doing the work. Meanwhile, everybody else has been making excuses and feeling sorry for themselves, taking drugs, giving all these titles to bad behaviors, tolerating demons, and blaming others in pride. Number 7, people that see disagreeing as arguing. Some people, as long as you don't agree with them, they will see it as an argument. We're leaving those people in 2025. I've experienced this all the time because I'll have a conversation with somebody and it will be like, I'll say something like, it could be as simple as they say, I think the best flavor of, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something so random. I think the best soft drink is, I'll be like, I think the best soft drink is Coca-Cola. And I hate Pepsi. They'll be like, I love Pepsi, I hate Coca-Cola. Okay, that's as far as it has to go. Who cares? I'm happy Pepsi's there for you, Coca-Cola's there for me. I'll know that if I'm planning an event and I'm buying Coca-Cola and I'll buy you Pepsi, and I would hope you'd do the reverse. And actually, if you had Pepsi anyways, it's not that big of a deal. A lot of people, no. But the thing about Coca-Cola is it's not even, and then they'll get into an argument about something that's not important at all. And it's like, because they're like, why are you trying to tell me that I'm wrong? And then there'll be a lot of people then will start, because this is why I'm saying people who have dealt with trauma, they need healing, they need deliverance. They'll start acting as if like, their demons will start to change. They might start arguing with you because they think you're trying to tell them they're wrong, even though you never used the words they're wrong. That's why at the start of this video I said, be careful to hear how I've structured these sentences clearly and don't just go off, because that's another thing people do. It's like they hear their trigger words and then they go off but they haven't heard your statement. And this happens to me all the time, where people do that we've done that with me, especially adults, where they will regurgitate what I said. And I'm like, that's not what I said. That is not what I said at all. You have just gone off because of your own insecurities and your own emotions, and now you're off in the ledge. This happened to me with somebody with a grown adult, right? Grown adult in their, I think, 40s, late 40s at the time. And I said to this individual, I said, look, somebody I'm related to, I said, look, the reason why I don't tell you more information about my life is because I don't trust you, because you always tell people my business. So I would love to tell you more information, but until you are able to keep that to yourself, you can keep things to yourself. Unfortunately, I won't be able to do that. Somebody else from the family comes to me, why did you tell so-and-so that they're never going to be invited to your graduation, and they're never going to be invited to your wedding, and they're never going to this? Where the hell did that come from? Those are your own demons, buddy, because I never said that. And this is what I'm saying about people, and how there's just some people are not worth tolerating. If you're doing the work and they're not willing to do the work, you're wasting your time. So yeah, people that see disagreeing as arguing, listen, again, unless it's literally like life and death serious situation about something, right? And I'll give you the example of actually I won't use that as an example, we'll leave that. Number 8, people who tolerate toxic, problematic people and defend them while suffering. So people who have other people in their life who are toxic or problematic for them, who are having a significantly negative impact, who they are tolerating and defending while still suffering. You can't tolerate that, because the thing is, that person is, first of all, not got the good boundaries in their own life, which means that what they're going to do is they are going to, it's going to change who they are. They're going to not be able to move forward, because a lot of the times having these people in your life is what's keeping you behind. That's what the Lord keeps telling me. Every time I ask the Lord why this hasn't happened, that hasn't happened, it's like, there's still people there that shouldn't be there. There's still people there that shouldn't be there. There's still people there that shouldn't be there. That's how we got to this list, because I wouldn't have been able to write this list a year ago. So I hadn't learned all of this yet. And last year I had like the worst year. Like I would class 2025 as my year of heartbreak, because all my heartbreaks of all my life hit me at once. And I also had all these things, and I just learned so much in one year. But people who have tolerate toxic or problematic people in their life, the problem is those people who are toxic and problematic and who are on the losing team are like vultures. They're like predators. So when they are in somebody's life, when you're there in your life or they're in anybody else's life, they're now in your proximity. That's the thing. So whatever chaos they ensue, that chaos can then be attached to you as well. and it can affect you. I'll give you guys a very small and simple but kind of superficial but perfect example of what I'm talking about. So I was friends with this girl. There was three of us. We were all friends. We went to this event, right? I've mentioned this before. We went to this fitness event, and there was one of the girls there. I was really close with one of the girls. She was kind of closer than another girl, but I did know the other girl, and I was cool with her, but we weren't close. And she was somebody I kept a little bit at arm's length, I guess, with my discernment. Anyway, so we all go to this dance event, and it's like this big one where they've got so there's like celebrities and influencers. One of these like proper fitness celebrity, like there was all them all vlogging and everything. Because my friend, she was a fitness influencer. Well, she still is a fitness influencer. We're just no longer friends. I think she still does fitness. I don't know. Anyway, and so she got invited with free tickets because she's being sponsored by one of the brands. So we go there, and then we end up front row, like in this like VIP dance class we weren't even supposed to be in. And then the girl there who's teaching it, she recognized us, and she even comes up, she's like, oh my gosh, you guys must be dancers, like, and it was so fun and whatever. And we had like a really nice interaction, like even over Instagram, until, right, so this is one of those, and I've had so many moments where I've missed opportunities because of somebody that was in my proximity. In fact, I even had a black lady tell me about this. So what happened is, one of the girls who was the girl that I didn't really trust that I was with, she had a problem with one of the girls that was dancing with the girl that was teaching the dance class, right? And so that's where, because it was like, we were all clicking and hitting off for one moment, and the next minute, you know what I'm saying? And I'll never forget what this black lady said to me once upon a time, right? I was doing event planning, right, for one of these event planning jobs I did. And the people who ran the company and who were doing the event, they didn't listen to my advice that I gave them about how, even though I'd made everybody their plans of how the day should run, I gave everybody I always do it. I always give everybody their personalized daily timetable, when they're supposed to arrive, where they're supposed to be, and it's personalized for what their individual job is. And I give them like a clipboard with a pen on it so they can annotate things throughout the day. Like, I make it so easy for them, right? This is how I do when I do my event planning. And so they didn't listen to me, and things are running behind. And this woman came, and she just said to me, this older black lady, I'll never forget it, because I'm now here looking like a dum-dum, yeah? I'm not the one who's even doing this. I'm just helping out these people because I've been hired. And the lady, she says to me, she's like, you know what? She's like, it doesn't matter what happened. I can't remember how it even came up about what was going on. She's like, it doesn't matter. You know something? It doesn't matter what happens. Like, you're the one who's here, and people are seeing you here, and it'll affect your reputation. And ever since then, I've always been very, very careful. Like, even now, like, people who know me know, if I'm walking with you, like, especially if you're around this town and I know I'm with somebody that I know and that I like, if they stop to talk to somebody who I don't respect, I will keep walking and I'll wait for them somewhere else, because I'm not going to be seen with you, because this is going to affect my life. I'm now in proximity. So many things that happen to people is because of being in proximity with the wrong people at the wrong time. You know what I mean? And that then having the effect on your life. So you can't just have people, and not to mention that it's an error in that person's judgment. It means they're willing to put up with things, which means you might start to be willing to put up with things, because now you're being around them with their low boundaries. So then that's maybe making you not have the boundaries you need to have either, because you're seeing that. Because it's very hard to do these things with people, guys, because people will fight back. I've told you, I feel like defending my boundaries feels like more work than my actual job. It feels like more work than, if I had to go for a 7K run or whatever. It feels like more work than I spent on my entire degree, right? It feels like more just in one conversation with people, how hard I have to fight to keep up my boundaries. So this is what I've been realizing, is that some of the issues there is tolerating others who don't have the correct boundaries. And also, if they're willing to let people get away with things with them, then they're probably also going to defend people against you, which is going to be problematic for you, because then they're going to be the voice. You're already going to have the voices of doubt. You're already going to have the devil trying to convince you to keep these people in your lives. They're just going to end up becoming tools. Anyways, number 9, people who believe in luck. As I've said to you guys, luck, I think, is for losers. People who believe in luck are losers. The world is a result of the decisions of all humans from the very beginning, because God gave us dominion. And however anything happens, some humans came together to make the choices for those circumstances. And also, hard work pays off. A lot of people, where they are, they're not there because of luck. They're there because of either their hard work or somebody else's hard work. If you're looking at somebody super rich, right? A lot of these rich moguls, whatever, as people talk about the Rothschilds, look at their history. Somebody worked. They strategically said, we're going to start doing this business is lending money, and we're going to intentionally send one of our kids in as many countries all over the world so that we can have hubs all over the world. People intentionally are out here doing things. You know, if you decide you want to be an Olympian, you don't just wake up as an Olympian. You might wake up with particular genes that might be more susceptible to becoming an incredible athlete, but you don't not wake up and the gold medalist. You have to wake up every day, have the discipline, have the diet, show up and go do what you need to do. Even if somebody has the opportunity, say, to become famous in the entertainment industry, or, you know, like whatever, they have to have actually had the talent. They have to have actually had something and work at it. You know, a lot of these artists, these stars, we have these girl group Cat's Eye. You might not see it, but most of them are put through artist development. I was working doing artist development myself through my own company. Like, a lot of them I put through artist development for a number of years. I think Cat's Eye went through artist development for like 4 years. The Spice Girl, like, a lot of them go through this art. That's actually part of why we have these talent competitions. It's so that they have artist development projects under contract, right, that favors the industry, right? Just like how a lot of kids who do super well, I've realized it is 100% the parents who are willing to do extra jobs. You know, KSI's parents worked 3 jobs so that he could go to private school. A lot of the private school kids I've worked with, their parents are working as many jobs just to put them in private school specifically. You know, whatever it takes to do that, to pay for extra tuition, to get extra things, organizing whatever, moving literal mountains. Like I said, I know of a family that they literally are selling their house because of, they realized the area where is not good for their daughter, one of their daughters or both of them. So they're actually selling the entire house and moving. And, you know, their daughters are highly intelligent, and they're very highly intelligent. And that's why they're going through some of these issues. And I believe, again, it's because there's so much hard work that the girls themselves and their parents are putting into it. Other people look at them like, oh my gosh, you must be so lucky to be so intelligent. You must be so lucky to do this. And it's like, no, people are making sacrifices. People are trying. Luck is for losers. That's all I have to say. And finally, number 10, people that only ever critique you and never compliment, right? Now, listen, the Bible says, you know, that Jesus is the double-edged sword who comes to bless and correct. Absolutely, constructive criticism is important. I would say if you have either extreme is bad. If you have people that only ever critique you, that's bad. I've noticed that there's some people, I'm like, you've actually never complimented me in the whole time I've known you. And I've complimented you like 4 or 5 times a day sometimes, you know. And there's other people who only compliment you, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with you, right? Those people are obviously probably lying, they're probably harboring something, or they've got ill intent. Their desire to be in your life, their scaredness to lose you is greater than their love to want you to be the best version of yourself. Because anybody that wants you to be the best version of yourself wants to celebrate you when you're doing well, so that you feel, you know, encouraged, so that you feel acknowledged, so that they can celebrate with you. And anybody that loves you truly will also critique you so that you become the best version of yourself. Like I said, this is one of the things I feel like was a benefit for me of having the 2 extremes of dance and like science, where like in science, all the work you do is heavily scrutinized, your results, your reports, your everything. We're being made to do presentations, we're getting asked all this, and everything we're doing is heavily critiqued. So you get used to it and it makes you great. As you walk away and you're like, whoa, I never thought about that. I'm going to go and do that. Same with dance. You're in a studio. You can see your entire body in front of you. You're doing things over and over again. Somebody's coming and moving this leg, moving this, telling you to do this again, coming to do this. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? The critique is like the greatest thing ever, right? And it actually makes the successes even better afterwards. Like, this is why I say I feel like I can call my channel The Winning Team, you guys. Because, like, you know, when you be under such scrutiny, sometimes it's really good, but like I said, neither is good, because also being overly critiqued can create in you this thing where it's like you develop things like, you know, feeling like you have to earn people's love, becoming a people pleaser, and you also just kind of become everybody's prostitute in a way, because you just kind of become whatever anybody wants you to be and however anybody wants to use you, tell you, because you're like, I need to just do whatever is required of this. I'm just taking in everybody's criticism. Because again, some people will love to critique you, especially the losers. People who are losers would love to critique winners because they want to pull you down a peg. And that's my point. They want to pull you down a peg. They're not happy to see you thriving. They're not happy to see you winning. They're not happy to see you smiling. That for them is their win, because they're losers. So losers, a lot of times, the way that losers experience the feelings of winning, right? Their little dopamine hit that they need. is by attacking the winners, like I said. So this is why a lot of the stuff I'm saying, it's like the wanting to be right rather than do what's right. Yeah, ha ha ha, I proved you wrong, or you thought you were so intelligent. I had somebody say this to me last year about my channel. They were like, how can you call your channel the winning team? And they tried to pick out one specific thing that I did, right, that they were not happy with. That I also wasn't happy with myself. I did more than acknowledged it many times, actually. And I was just like, I sat there and I just sat there, and eventually I just started laughing, because I was like, first of all, you haven't achieved not even a crumb in comparison to what I have in life. Second of all, I know that part of winning is that the only person who's assuming, who thinks that anyone truly winning thinks that they're getting everything right, is a loser, because you're the one who's projecting your feelings, because you think, well, what could be wrong with you? Nothing's wrong with you. Why is everything perfect for you? You're so lucky. That's a losing mentality. Anyone who's a winner knows that. Yeah, that's why I've realized when I talk to winners, they're the least assuming, the least critical kinds of people, because they know that just because you can be amazing in one area, you probably not so good in another area, or they don't even really care, because why do they really care? They're so busy focusing on their own winning. They don't have time to focus on all your flaws, unless they're doing it in love, in which case they will step out. And it's one thing I've noticed, which is insane. I know people like who are truly successful, like in all industries, and it's so crazy how the losers, right, when I've in my life apologized for stuff, for example, where I've done wrong, when it comes to the industry, first thing I noticed when I moved out to London is, I was like, why is it that now I'm meeting people like in industries, these people have mostly like my university lecturers are the first people that have made me feel intelligent. They were like, you're intelligent, you're a mathematician, we know this about you, even though whatever. I'm in the industry, I'm meeting all these bosses, these CEOs, like, you're a brilliant woman, you're so intelligent, you're this. I'm thinking, what? Like, I've never heard this before, but these are the people who are actually successful. But then there's the people who are not successful, the bum-ass, broke-ass people I know from towns like this one, who are the ones who only ever had critique to say, like, I would achieve something amazing. Like, once upon a time when I was a kid, I remember I got I've said this story before, I got 97% in a maths exam, 97%. I dropped 1 mark on the entire paper. And you know what this bum-ass loser said to me? Well, that's not really 100. And it did blow wind in my sails, because I was like 15. I'm like, are you kidding me? The last exam I got a B. I worked really hard to get to improve myself, right, by myself, to get this grade. And then I'll have the losing team either being like, well, you didn't get, it's not even like you got 100, right? Or I'll have the other parts of the losing team being like, oh my gosh, you're so lucky, or just you're arrogant. It's like, no, I'm proud of myself. And then it would be these successful people again. These people I know from London, I've embarrassed myself so many times in so many of these situations, right? And I will go to apologize. I'll be like, I'm so sorry. And they'll be like, don't worry about it. We know like how you are, like it's all good. Like, and they're just all understanding. I try to apologize to the losers of it all, and it's like, they're just making me feel like the biggest burden of all time, like how hard it is for them to have to put up with this stuff, how it's not even good enough. And it's like, if we're going to really talk about what's wrong with you, let's go even deeper. This is what I learned last year. This is what I learned, that this is the difference, because I've experienced both. And like, having experienced more of the losing side in the last 4 or 5 years than I did the winning side, it's reinforced, while at the same time getting to know you guys, who are obviously like the people that I've met when I was, far away from this environment. It made me realize, like, oh, I get it now. And that's why I was thriving, because I was around people with the right mindset, with the same way of thinking, like all these things I've been talking about. We're not gossiping, we're talking dreams, visions, we're talking success, right? And then if we're not doing that, if we're not working hard, we're playing hard, we're just enjoying our times together. Over here, it's like we're complaining, we're judging, we're gossiping, and it's like water and oil. I don't even want to disrespect water or oil by using them as examples. You know what I mean? It's just two completely different ways of thinking. And that's why I say there's only two teams, the winners and the losers, right? The humble and the proud, right? The victor and the victim. You know what I'm saying? And so those who know that there is hard work and blessings when you work hard and with the Lord, and the others who believe that people just get lucky. There's only two sides. So those are my 10 types of people we're leaving in 2025. 10 types of people. Take some time, guys, to re-listen to this, write lists and names. And I will tell you this, my biggest piece of advice with dealing with these people, I would say to try to, this is what I do. I always have one final conversation. I don't tell them that this is the final conversation. I try to address the issues that I'm having respectfully. If they respond badly, however, I remove myself from the conversation. I say to the Lord God, I did my due diligence. I did this a lot last year, especially towards the last quarter. I'll be like, God, I've done my part. I did what you asked me to do. I gave them another chance. I came to them calmly. I addressed my problems. They choosing not to change. They're choosing this is who they are. I now feel like I've done my part. I already forgave everybody. I'm going to separate myself. And then I don't say anything. I just slowly step away. Because the thing is, chaotic people are going to love the chaos. So if they know they're being cut off, it's a bad idea to tell them, because then they're going to create chaos again. Because they're going to be, oh, you're cutting me off, like this. And they're going to try and convince you. Sometimes you need to go with your discernment. If the Lord is saying it's done and the time is over with, you need to let it be done and let it be over with. And you need to understand that you can't work with the losers because they've chosen which side they're sitting on, just like we've chosen, right? Just like it's like we just like how I can't behave how they behave. It's like they can't behave how we behave. So there's really, with a lot of people, some people you can work it out with. Some people are trying, and that's great. I remember one of my friends, she said, when she's looking for people in relationships, she realized it's not that she's with any kind of relationship. She's trying to find a person who's in this certain state or that certain state, but people who are self-aware and who are trying to improve is the only thing she's looking for. As long as you're actually trying, and as long as you're self-aware and you're actually trying, she can work with that. She was advised by her therapist, and I agree with that. People who are working hard and they're trying, go for that, because that's still humility and that still covers everything I've been saying, right? But people who have decided where they're at, there's no point, because the other thing, they're the ones who sway the jury of the sheeple. That's why the world is the way that it is, and that's why all these billionaires are the ones who ended up getting billionaires, are the ones who are prepared to do whatever it took to get there, because they were desperate people. They were desperate, degenerate losers, like the losing team. And on that note, you guys, those are the people living 2025, and shouts out to the Lord for a brutal year of hard and humbling lessons. But hey, at least we're here now. I couldn't have written this a year ago. So glory be to God. Life's a game, is play to win. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. And I'll see you in my next one.